Hi, my name is David Rowan. I'm an astrologer and teacher of astrology, and I've been posting some things on Facebook, kind of letting people know that there's a kind of a new astrology service that's going to be on offer in January, and it's been gathering a bit of kind of interest. And this is a very busy time of year for me, so because I haven't got time to kind of write out in detail what this new thing is, I thought I'd just make a little video note. And the new thing is looking at a child's life, but reading it for a parent, so that a parent can get an idea of the possibilities that can emerge through the whole lifespan of their child's time here. And it can be a very, very useful thing to do, although not as detailed as it would be if I were doing a kind of a private consultation for an adult. And the reason for that is the private consultations for adults also include therapy as part of the kind of the package. And we look at every nook and cranny of life, not just the birth experience and the first 3 years of life, but also kind of relationship dynamics, for example. Now, some of those very deep, intimate areas of life aren't necessarily appropriate to explore with a parent. For the most part, it seems that parents definitely benefit from having an idea of not just the kind of the psychological development of the early years, but also how things can unfold into later periods of time. So what can be done with an astrological chart is that you can get an overview of the different kind of chapters that a person will experience through their life. So if you think of, the early environmental conditioning in the first 3 years of life, early childhood, later childhood, and the beginnings of developing a sense of social style, the adolescent years, one's 20s, 30s, 40s, life beyond 50, and then life beyond 60. So to be able to kind of get an overarching sense of the themes that will be prevalent and most dominant through each of these areas of life can be very, very useful, especially if you're guiding someone and helping them grow. Because there's a tendency when we look at a person and see how they're behaving at the moment to kind of presume that, okay, well, your past has led you up to this point, but this is what you're like now. But if you know, for example, that all periods of life are temporary, and you have an idea of where they flow from and where they're going to, then that makes it easier to look at the current situation in a broader perspective, and to be able to then relate with the person, not just in terms of dealing with the day-to-day things that are happening right now, but also with a kind of a view to kind of guiding them towards what's going to be more fruitful later, because you have an idea of what later is going to be like. Now, in the life reading for an adult, we pay a great deal of attention to the early years, looking at the dynamics of the unconscious and the subsequent emotional needs, kind of repeating patterns of behavior, etc., that are constellated in those first 3 years. And it can be quite useful to look at those sorts of things with a child as well. So what I'm going to be putting on the website is a way of looking at this that's modular. The reason for making it modular is because not everybody wants to look at everything in great depth, but a lot of people can benefit from having an overview. So there'll be various sessions. The first consultation will be an hour and a half, and it will just be £65. And that will look at your child's life from a soul's perspective. What kind of things will your child learn through this life? What kind of challenges will it be faced with, and what can you do? What strategies can you suggest maybe to or employ to help your child get the best out of the things that are available? And then to look at the progressive sequence of unfolding steps or chapters through the life. As I've already mentioned, the early childhood conditioning years, later childhood adolescence, 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on. So you get an overall kind of tone or the flow of how your child's life will kind of unfold. In subsequent chapters, you can then book up whenever you wish, spread out over however long you wish, and they will be 30-minute consultations at £30 a time, and there'll be a range of topics like a menu that you can select from. So, for example, you can look at your child's relationship with you. Um, what kind of things do you draw out in your child? How could your child perceive you, for better and also for worse as well? Because being aware of some of the challenges and things that might exist in the relationship between you can then mean that you can arise to them, you can address them, review them, modify them, adapt them, and change them. So it's not necessarily a question that as far as astrology is concerned, that everything is destiny and you're kind of stuck with this fate. That's not the way of it at all, because human beings aren't like that. We're pliable, we're moldable, we're changeable, we're adaptable. And astrology is like that as well. There isn't any such thing as the meaning from astrology. There are the meanings, plural. And because all the symbols in astrology are polysemous, which means they have many layers of meaning, then it helps to know that if there's a particular way that a child's behavior is kind of manifesting at the moment, by understanding the dynamics of it, it then means that you can then begin to find other ways of that child using the same kind of drives, but to come out in a more fruitful fashion. For example, just in a very kind of basic sense, you could say that when a human being expresses itself, that expression can come out as assertion and build things in life, or it can come out as anger and take things apart. They're both forms of expression, but the end result is very different depending on which type of expression is coming out. So no one would ever seek to, I hope, to inhibit a child's expression, but it can be possible to direct the child's expression into something productive and fruitful, and not necessarily productive and fruitful in your eyes, because what's important is that your child's life is something that touches its own value system. And what I mean by this is, for example, if there was a couple who were very kind of, I guess you could say, left brain orientated. So maybe he's a computer technician and she's a part-time maths teacher or something like this. Very kind of calculus, mathematically orientated parents. And if they have a child that's very kind of dreamy and wistful, rather creative, it could be that because they expect their child to follow in the kind of road that they have, and obviously they have a value system of valuing maths and science, that the child would only find that its reward system would be put in place whenever it does well at maths in school. So the child could do something creative and the parents might not necessarily show that much enthusiasm. But if the child does well in maths, then there's a great deal of enthusiasm. So the child gets the emotional kind of reward when it does something left brain. However, if it's a more right brain dominated individual, then this means that there's a whole area of life of potential fruitful blossoming that's not going to be encouraged. Not because there's something wrong with that, but just because of the value system of the parents. So understanding your child's life from your child's perspective, the kind of talents that it can bring to the surface, what kind of things in life that it will like to follow, then it means that you can possibly help your child to kind of find its feet in forging a pathway that means that it finds a great deal of kind of happiness and a sense of self-satisfaction and a good self-esteem. And so what suits one person doesn't suit another person. And understanding these differences between yourself and your child can be a very useful thing, So it can be a very deep and thorough exploration and very fruitful and very rewarding. Yes, because there isn't time necessarily for me to write all of this out in a way that is easy to follow, I just thought I'd make this very quick video note. Videos on YouTube have a very short limited time, so I'll have to leave this here. But my email address is info@davidrowan.co.uk. The website address is www.davidrowan.co.uk. davidrowan.co.uk. You can contact me there if you want to know any more. I'm also on Facebook as well, and yes, you might be able to find me on there if we're not connected already. Well, I hope this has been interesting, this very brief discussion on this, and feel free to ask me any questions that you wish, and hope to hear from you soon. All right, take care. Thank you. Bye.